Hi, I'm Margot Foreman, and I'm here to show you how you can help your child succeed in learning and become an independent learner, even if they're neurodiverse, without endless repetition, exhaustion, and frustration. Just stay with me. It's a three-step program. You know that feeling, the picture on the left, where your kid wants something from you and you really just don't know how to do it? Well, we've got a simple three-step program to lead you to the point where when they want it, you know it. Step one is find out exactly what's going on. Step two is some activities we put in to stimulate neuroplasticity in the brain and develop new thinking strategies, thinking structures. And step three is where we go off and do our thing and succeed in ordinary school, in normal classes like others. I've represented all of our clients as lions because I don't like posting our children's pictures online. So before I tell you all about the program, I just want to give you a little bit of an insight into why I'm doing this. When I first found out about this program and I was using it in schools, in classes, I met a little girl who was in year five. She was 9 or 10, and she'd been totally unable to learn to read. She couldn't even pretend to read that first Biff, Chip and Kipper book, which only had 3 words per page, and she never remembered the lesson from before play or before lunch in the afternoon. She just endured school. Then I did a program with her. I gave it her at the beginning of the summer half term, end of May, beginning of June. When she came back after a week, she remembered a lesson from before the half term. That made a big impact on me. I realized there was something I needed to do different in my teaching. If this was possible, it had to happen. I started studying in earnest. When I came back to the school in September, remember, I hadn't seen her since early June. She was building 5-letter words on her own, and she was reading independently, just as the result of a few neurodevelopmental activities I'd given her. I knew that was the way forward for me. I had to learn about this stuff. Max. Huh. We've changed the names, of course, but this young man had just done his mock GCSEs and he was getting C's and he was really depressed because he was a bright young lad, but just not succeeding well at his exams. We met him in the February. In the May, when he did his exams, he got A's and A stars. And these exams are the important public exam at age 16 that set the tone for the rest of your academic career in the UK. So I think it's time that we got rid of some of those archaic labels. I got them. Maybe you got them. Probably your kids get them. It still happens. Those of us who learn differently are told we don't listen, we're stupid, we're not interested, we're slow, we're awkward, won't concentrate, difficult, lazy. They're as out of date as that class photo. And I had them. I got it on my school report. Margot lives in a world of her own. Sometimes I wish I could join her. Really? That ruler was the teacher's favourite, a teaching tool. If you got your sums wrong, she slapped your bare legs with us, somehow believing that that would make you better the next time. Well, things have moved on, but not yet, not enough. I went to teacher training college. At teacher training college, I found out they still had no idea about dyslexia. My first essay came back. I was really proud of it, but it came back covered in red pen. This is the worst essay I've ever seen. C plus. Come and see me. I wept. But now I look back and I think it was a teacher training college. Do you not think that even in the 1970s, they should have recognized dyslexia? It wasn't rocket science even then. Then I had my own children. I was a teacher by this time. And I'd met lots of children in my classes who were just struggling. And I know that neurodiversities of all sorts run in families. And I wanted a different experience for my small person. You know what it's like being a parent? You're responsible for their every experience and you want to make it the best you possibly can. So I went to the Open University and I studied and I studied. I was successful, but it was incredibly hard work. Dyslexic, dyspraxic, a little bit ADHD. It was very hard work studying with the OU. Then something amazing happened. I met a bunch of people who understood how the body and brain connect together, who understood how to use neurodevelopmental activities, simple activities and games, to rebuild pathways in the brain, rebuild networks in the brain. I was doing it for the children in my classes, but it had an effect on me at the same time. And suddenly, studying was not so hard. I went on to get my degree, finally, at 50. I became a member of the BDA, of PASHI, of PATOS, and lots of letters after my name. The most recent senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy, which means I help to teach other university staff a little bit more about neurodiversity and being a bit more effective and a lot kinder. Here's another testimonial. One of our parents said, the teachers have noticed differences. He's standing up for himself and he's more assertive, which is brilliant, but he also seems happier in himself and with himself. Really matters. You see, each person's results are unique to them. Yours are not going to be the same as mine or any of our clients. We can't predict exactly what will happen. We've seen amazing changes time and time again. And I'm curious and excited to know what will happen for you. Here's another client. This is a dad who had a young boy who was dyslexic, dyspraxic, dyscalculic. And he said, I would say I now have a better understanding of what is going on with Harry and how I can support him. That understanding builds bonds and pulls people together. When we moved on to online, it was a gift for us. Some teachers found it threatening, but we found it just works better. Why? Well, we can see the individual in their natural environment. We can actually see where and how they're looking, how their eyes are working. We can use asynchronous messaging to keep up to each other in between sessions. There's no traveling involved. Do you know it doesn't matter what the label is? Dyslexia, ADHD, dyspraxia, autism, anything else, or even if there are multiple overlapping labels or no labels. We don't diagnose. We look at what's going on and how we can make life and learning easier. Our parents, we've spoken to hundreds of parents, and there are themes in the concerns. Parents are often worried about the future, about the time that it takes to support their children, about the frustration of doing it again and again and getting nowhere, about the children missing out, parents missing out, other members of the family missing out, the overwhelm of the whole situation, unhappy children, children acting up. We can address these issues, so if you resonate with those, do come and talk to us. Because change is possible. If you stick on this webinar, you'll learn how to simplify your life and get easier results, a systematic way to understand your child's learning needs, how a tailored program can work for you and your entire family, how to improve your children's learning experience, how you and your child can actually have time to enjoy a precious childhood. Biggest mistakes you can make at this point is do what you've always done and expect different results. Or just work longer and harder. Make them sit and finish no matter what. Never find out exactly what they need to succeed. Well, you can't be blamed if you're not found out. It took me till I was 50. But it's never too late. Now is the time to find out what they need. And instead of just settling for subject specialists, don't get me wrong, we need subject specialists. We need to learn stuff, but we need to be ready to learn the stuff. We need to have the capacity to learn and process and remember what we're learning. Then the subject specialists can teach us what we need without effort. Because less is more. It's time to work smarter, not harder. Archimedes apparently said, give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I'll move the planet. Well, we don't want to move the planet, but if you know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you can change your experience with far less effort. It's time to stop juggling. It's time to pause to process and choose something else. You can do this without conflict, without stress, without struggle. Even if your child's given up, even if you feel you've already tried everything, even if teachers have given up on them, even if people say they'll never amount to much, you can do this, and it's never too late. This is me and our family van. I was dyslexic, dyspraxic, ADHD, failing at school. I was bright enough to know what was going on, but not organized enough to succeed in class. I remember getting told off for getting all of my sums wrong, number bonds to 10. And as I waited for my legs to be slapped, thinking, well, if you average it out with yesterday's, I got them all right yesterday, so I've got 50% success rate. Strange anomalies like that are the hallmark of the neurodiverse. We need to build brains. We need to find out where the creaky bits are, where the places where a little bit more organization could make all the difference. We naturally build brains. We build brains from crawling, walking, talking, learning, growing. And for some of us, there are some pathways that could do with being a little bit more structured. Some sensory input that could be a little bit more balanced. And that organization helps to make us ready to learn. Our children, the children like me and your kids, often get into a lot of trouble. They're often told off. And some staff say, well, they get all the attention. So this thing came up, positive behavior management. And when it first came in, I was quite excited. I thought it was going to be a really good idea. The children would learn to make good choices. The children would learn to choose to follow the rules. And they'd have an always badge. And if they had an always badge, they'd get all the treats. And there'd be a chart on the side of the wall showing how well they were doing. Trouble was, it very soon became apparent that a bunch of children always had their always badge. And some lost them and got them back. And some of them never had an always badge. And those were the children, just like me and my kids, who were just a little different. It didn't seem very fair. Neurodevelopment is not a choice. Sensory organization is not a choice. Learning strengths and challenges are not a choice. And those differences mean that we cannot always choose to follow the rules. We cannot always choose to do what we're asked. The way children learn and behave tells us what they need when we know how to listen. We have to learn how to listen, how to interpret that behavior effectively. To teach effectively, we need to incorporate neurodevelopment, sensory processing, learning approaches. We need to pause, to process. Listen, learn. We've talked about what the parents want, but there are also themes that emerge from the many, many children we've spoken to. Often, even if they can read, they don't remember what they read, and they want to remember what they read. Often, they're getting into trouble for not doing as they're told, and they really want to understand what the teacher's saying and understand what's being asked of them. Often, they get into trouble for not starting their work, and what they want is to know what to do and how to start it. So often they get supported, which is lovely, but they want to do it on their own. They want independence. And occasionally, well, quite often with dyspraxic children, they want to learn to ride a bike. Or if they're a little nervous, maybe they want to learn to have sleepovers. And oh, so often they feel left out and they want to learn to have friends. All of these things seem to adjust and change as we change, strengthen, and organize the disorganized systems and the weaker systems. These things seem to change naturally as we learn and grow. Today, we're going to explore the 3-step program to make those changes. Step 1, investigation. You'll learn 5 essential neurodevelopmental differences that affect learning and how they affect your child's learning. And 3 things we need to know about motivation and engagement, which you probably know are a big issue for neurodiverse children. So let's talk first about sensory overload. What's that mean? Well, we know that in an exam, we put up notice saying, quiet, please, exam in progress, do not disturb. Noises distract us, we don't focus. But what if our sensory equipment, our ears are so sensitive, we're hearing things other people don't? I had a little boy once, he was woken up in the night by the toilet flushing 3 houses away. That's extreme, but not as extreme as this one. A little boy who would do anything he could possibly do to get excluded from the classroom because he couldn't stand the sound of the other children's pencils on their paper. So sensory irregularities mean that we could be massively stressed by things that others aren't even noticing. Could be sound, light, taste, touch, smell. Overload changes the way we think, gets in the way of learning, and it uses up our processing power, our concentration, so we can't succeed. That's why we ask people to be quiet outside exam rooms. When we recommend learning techniques, first we take into account perception. How are they perceiving, and is it the same way as us? Are they hearing what we don't hear, or just not hearing what we think they're hearing? Are they seeing the print clearly? Is it hard to understand it? Processing. How's the working memory doing? Most of us who are neurodiverse have a very short working memory. The average is 8 bits amongst the whole population, but for us, it's often 2 or 3 bits. Imagine a small coffee table and you filled it up with things, and then you want to put your file on, you push it on, something else drops off. That's a bit like working memory. If it's filled up with things that we're hearing, seeing, paying attention to that are extraneous to the task, it eats up our working memory and our processing speed. When we can organize the input and the processing more efficiently, that table magically becomes a bigger desk and we get to do our work more efficiently. Finally, looking at output, language and communication. It's not just about the words we use or the vocabulary or the diction. It's about putting those ideas together in a way that they're heard by the others. And that's something that can be learned with special techniques. Why does this work so well? Well, the barriers to learning are addressed at a profound level. We work with strengths, we don't just push against weaknesses. Individuals' preferred thinking styles are engaged and they learn how to communicate their understandings to people who think differently. Parents and children are empowered and respected and berated. Less stress, more fun. So the final step is implementation. What's that really mean? Well, you become more aware of what you can do and how you can do it. We call it metacognition, self-awareness. I know what I know. I know how I learn. I know how to communicate what I know. And that gives you the ability to go off and do whatever you want to do. Individuals can go off and live their dream, and families find it easier just to be together. Is it too hard? Well, it's our job to do it without conflict, stress, and struggle. It's our job to make it easy for you. If you know your child is capable of more, if this resonates with you, then maybe now is the time. Are you up for a challenge? It all starts with a free consultation. Meet the team, bring us your questions, tell us what your child's struggling with, tell us what you've already tried, tell us what you'd like to see change. Help us find out if this is right for you. This could be the most important decision you can make right now. Get to know us, tell us what you need, discover whether this could work for you. Let's help you find out. Then we can decide together if we want to, what we want to do. We have a few places available each month and we allocate them carefully. Bring us your questions. Book a free consultation. I look forward to seeing you. Bye.